2026 rebrand.
Rebrand.
5 minutes into a conversation, people will be able to tell that you're an insecure fraud.
Everyone's setting insane rebrand lists for their entire life and crazy New Year's resolutions, excessive goal setting.
Forget rebranding. Just figure out and refine yourself so you can figure out who you are and who you want to be.
Okay, we get it. We're in the new year. Put the glue sticks down and step away from the AI-generated Pinterest images, please. Hey guys, what's up? It's imergency and welcome back to my channel. And both on the internet and in real life, I have heard and had many of such conversations of the holidays and the new year not necessarily feeling the same. And actually, hold up, this is not going to be a video on that because I've actually already covered that in a previous video. But what I did want to bring to light, the latest player in the Gen Z discourse game, has to do more specifically with what's been going on for New Year's. And mostly the discourse around New Year's and new beginnings and the concept of a 2026 or just general New Year rebrand. And of course, like most things we talk about on this channel, I fear that some of the conversations around this New Year's rebrand and things like it can actually be quite problematic. And I think the larger part of it is that the content going around about it, which trust and believe we will be getting into, and hey, maybe I'm just behind the curve, but the New Year's content in more recent years has felt more like a ploy to mask consumerism, or at least consumerist habits, all under the guise of self-improvement. It's almost like the wellness and improvement industry has found the perfect holiday to cling on to. And in this video, we're going to explore the reason for the season, or rather, New Year's and the online and IRL discourse surrounding rebrands. And to put it more simply, getting into why you're not rebranding, you're just renewing your yearly vow to capitalism. And to kick off this conversation, we need to talk about the online and IRL sentiment of feeling like the new year is bringing in new beginnings and the general time for a new brand or a rebrand. And before y'all get mad at me, yes, I did go into 2026 making a vision board. And actually, I did go as far as to host my own vision board event with my friends at my house. So please hold your fire. Like, I completely understand why the ball dropping, the clocks turning at midnight into a new year feels like such an opportune time. Get your there. Like, it's nothing new that New Year's resolutions are a thing. I mean, when else will gyms go hard in their marketing and subscription fee deals? I mean, except for Equinox, of course, they don't want you there in January. And I'm not here to be a downer on the effectiveness of resolutions or saying that you should make resolutions in and of themselves, but the way we have grown to think about resolutions or rebranding hasn't always been the most effective. With an article from The Atlantic citing that surveys have found that fewer than 10% of Americans who make resolutions stick to them for a year. By the end of February 2024, according to a survey conducted by the Harris Poll, about half of respondents who set resolutions had already given up on them. And this article goes into paradoxical intent, which is interesting, but not the point of this video. It just seems like in those last days leading up to New Year's, there are a myriad of people seeking to, in somehow, some way, rebrand their entire way of living, which as a general marker of time makes sense, but as we will get into, might not be the best way to frame it and might not even be the best time to do it, if any. But first, let's get into the concept of the rebrand. I feel like there's been a lot of conversation around the rebrand 2026, specifically looking at this tweet. Like, if you somehow manage to stay off of social media completely, first of all, good on you, Diva Pop. A popular trend or phrase that's been going around is the 2026 rebrand. And while commonly rebrands are meant for companies and, well, brands, when they change logos, shift color schemes, maybe a font change or two, but as anyone online may know, the concept of rebranding has been co-opted in a more personal way, with people now using the same language to apply to themselves as a means and a method to completely shift who they may have been to who they want to be, and that is nothing short of interesting. And don't worry, I got you covered, just in case you haven't seen any of these kinds of TikToks.
What about accessories for April?
One thought I had was enamel, bangles, pendants, earrings.
No, we did that 2 years ago. What else?
Well, they're showing a lot of florals right now, so I was thinking I could
Florals? For spring.
Which luckily has brought us to this exchange. We'll be adding this to my list of 2026 ends of how to respond to people.
Thought I had was enamel, bangles, pendants, earrings.
No, we did that 2 years ago. What else?
Well, they're showing a lot of florals right now, so I was thinking I could
Florals? For spring. What about accessories for April?
One thought I had was enamel, bangles, pendants, earrings.
No, we did that 2 years ago. What else?
Well, they're showing a lot of florals right now, so I was thinking I could...
Because things really do just have to make sense to me, and I will not be explaining it. But in all seriousness, do not get it twisted. I am all here for personal reflection, intention setting, and manifestations. Like, I am a manifestation king. Like, if you know me, you know that I put everything on the stars. I put everything to my manifestations and everything to my good intentions. You cannot play with me. You will be building that internal world. You hear me? The concept of a rebrand, however, feels like like the commodification of these internal processes. And it always sort of comes around the new year. Like notice how in a lot of rebrand TikToks, they always mention things like you need to buy, or things that you should change about yourself, your place, your habits, the things that you do and things that you like, which are nice to hear, but ultimately mean that you should go and buy something else or spend your money on something else. And we're gonna get into that. But first and foremost, the literal Oxford definition of a rebrand is to change the corporate image of a company or organization. Now, I'm no expert in English. I be stuttering boots throughout these videos. But if my ear and my eye is not failing me, 1/3 of that statement is corporate, company, or organization. As much as your favorite career creator, inspiration creator may tell you, you are not a brand or a corporation, my friends. I mean, some of you actually might be, in which case your people shocked my people. But for the large majority, we are people first. We are not brands. And the whole concept of like everyday people being brands and being these businesses speaks to honestly so much that's going wrong in the world right now in terms of just like us feeling like we need to monetize ourselves and our likeness as opposed to the things that we do. Like I am such a big advocate of being mindful of the language that we use because one, words mean things, and two, we build normalization through our words. And while corporations are legally people, which again, crazy, you can take that up with the government, you yourself are not a corporation and you yourself are not a brand. And using corporate lingo for yourself should be something that you're mindful of. And I know this is super rich coming from a creator where like every creator is like, oh, I am my brand. Like my brand is my personality and my likeness. But like, I think there is something intrinsically harmful with monetizing your essence. Because at what point does the branding stop and the personhood begin? As this creator so poetically put it, rebranding is from the top down, evolution is from the inside out.
The concept of a 2026 rebrand is crazy to me. You don't need to rebrand. You're not a company. You're not a product. You're a girl. Oh, you want to evolve? Okay, great. You want to evolve intentionally? Have at it. Make a list. Make some goals, have some resolutions. And before you say that's what a rebrand is, a rebrand is top down. Evolution is inside out. Oh, if you feel like you need to be witnessed and you have to turn your growth into a spectacle, why? You have people for that in your life. And if you don't, that's resolution number 1.
Ultimately, I think people do a large disservice to themselves if they think that they constantly need to change to be more like something else. Because at the crux of it, it feels like you as you are currently are not enough. And maybe that resolution should be more aligned with knowing yourself more and accepting who that is. I mean, unless you're a terrible person, then definitely change because nobody wants that. And maybe, just maybe, if any of the terrible people that we know did some self-reflection and had any thoughts to process to any capacity, maybe they wouldn't be terrible people. Food for thought. Now we talk about the what, let's get into the why. Why do we normalize rebranding as people? And is there any inklings of capitalism behind it? I'm gonna tell you right now, the answer is yes. And more specifically as to the why, y'all are gonna hate when I say it because I'm gonna sound real old and real unky saying it. It be the damn phones. Well, more specifically, the damn social media. Like, of course, there is a long history of New Year's resolutions that can be dated back to the Babylonian era. You know, the good old swords and pitchforks and whatever they had going on in Babylon. But like everything in culture, it evolves with the times. New Year's resolutions becoming New Year's rebrands feels almost 5 a.m. rise and grind. I hate 3 days in one, real alpha male. And while that may be an extreme, we do have to admit that we've normalized flex culture, or at least comparing ourselves to complete strangers who we perceive to have it better. And somehow that has seeped its way into our goals and resolutions for ourselves. Like truly, when did everyone become brands? And why does everyone have the same resolutions? It feels like the goal is to always be hotter, skinnier, richer, more successful. Like, okay, I know those are all desirable things, but like, what happens when you finally achieve that? Like, mama, isn't there always going to be a hotter, skinnier, and richer behind you that you're gonna then set as the standard to achieve? Like, especially when you have the endless pit that is social media constantly updating and changing that standard. In a society where we strive to optimize ourselves and we tie our worth to productivity, it makes sense to always be chasing better and more than what currently is. Which brings me back to the original point from before about the holidays. Most holidays were originally about family, connection, and joy at the forefront. I mean, watch any Hallmark or just plain old Christmas movie from the early 2000s. But given the ever increasing consumer first nature of our society, it feels like the holidays are more about buying things or being a improved or optimized person through purchasable or whatever wealthy means. I've been hearing that for the past few years that the holidays don't have the same feeling as before. Like this past holiday season, I did not feel the magic. And while I think that can be attributed to many things, like us all losing our childlike whimsy, the baton getting passed to us as a generation for the holidays and traditions, our ever so vampiric capitalistic society, again, watch the previous video about this. I think at least one contributing factor is because the focus of the holidays holidays has shifted to focus on material objects versus the holiday feeling. I mean, a capitalist society's love language is gift giving and getting, even if the gift is written to you from you. Like, no shade to my gift-giving love language people, but I'd rather just get nothing than make people feel forced into giving me something that I don't really want or need from Amazon just because they deliver fast and they feel obligated to. Like, an intentional gift at any time of the year is better than a placeholder one at like the quote-unquote right time. Now pause. I know there are people this doesn't apply to, and I'm sure there are very lovely resolutions, intentions, and aspirations you've set for yourself this year, which I would love to hear all about down in the comments. But for the sake of this video, I'm referring to how resolutions every year look a little more purchase dependent than the last. How instead of intentions or resolutions, we now have rebrands and locking in. Things usually referred to in a workspace or in terms of productivity. And that's a whole other conversation on placing your self-worth on your productivity. I am a victim of this as well. We want to talk about resolutions in 2026. Let's decenter that. Let's decenter productivity as a form of self-worth, because we do not need that. We are not put on this earth to be productive. That is a capitalist scheme. Like, it feels like our goals are dependent on our productivity and how much value we can bring to others and show from ourselves. Like, it's the whole thing of like, how valuable can we be versus how much can we grow and enjoy life? And I think it's just like the general blatant self-disregard and self-abandonment that gets me. Like, again, I've done this myself and to myself year after year. And no one's perfect, but we really need to be building ourselves up and focusing on that kind of development rather than focusing on what you think you need and who you think you need to be.
I keep seeing people talk about the 2026 rebrand, and I just want to say I'm noticing a pattern. And yes, the new year is a chance for renewal. It's a breath of fresh air. It's an opportunity. It's a portal. Absolutely. And also, at some point, and this is something that I had to practice for myself, at some point, you have to stop being the first person to abandon yourself. You can't keep throwing it all off the table and building it from scratch. You are not a phoenix, you're a human being. And the foundation that you've built for yourself is not so insignificant that you should be so willing and eager to undermine it and to start over.
Now you may be asking, Rumi, okay, that's nice, but like, how can we go about this in a healthy way? And you know, I'm not saying that I'm the end all be all to how to do New Year's right. Again, I'd love to hear about how y'all go about this in the comments, because I love switching up and adding to my traditions. I did not do the grapes this year and I was not running around, but I would like to share some ways I'm trying to be mindful about my intentions this year. I, being more of a manifestation person, love doing like vision boards and love really visualizing the things that I want to achieve in a year. A good friend of mine recommended a book called Creative Visualization that has been actually and actively changing my life and how I manifest and visualize my goals. So if you're into reading and into like that kind of stuff, you should definitely go check out that book. But I really love to visualize my goals and ambitions. And those could be more concrete things like career milestones, or it could be more abstract like having a community and building more community. But the through line of all the visualization is really reminding myself that I am a human and that I am going to make mistakes and to give myself grace along the way. Acknowledging that I am not a company, I am not a machine that's just meant to be productive. Like, I'm allowed to have off days, I'm allowed to not be productive some days, and I'm allowed to schedule, plan, and take rest when needed. And I really think that is so important. My researcher Brianna added some things that she personally does for the New Year's that I think are fun to share. She says that she personally likes to think of what she wants more and less of and tries to base it off feelings and experiences. And gives the example of saying like she really liked one particular workout class or like enjoyed more time outdoors on hikes rather than the gym. Then she can schedule at least one hike per week per month to increase that experience in the new year. Or just generally setting a goal to go on at least 5 hikes a month. She also said that for the past 3 years, she's been keeping a bingo card for things that she likes to do during the year, including bigger and smaller goals, just to really bring in that whimsy in life. Things like having read X amount of books, watching a sunrise, doing a solo day trip, getting scammed and mauled by the unemployed reseller man at the Goodwill bins. Girl, are you okay? The whole point of that is to have small moments that if we don't plan, we might just overlook completely. And while big goals are also important to add, it's also nice to let you have some smaller, easier wins that you might not do otherwise. I think January is also the perfect time to look back and be grateful and let go of things from this past year. Like, what are we grateful for in 2025 that we wouldn't mind shifting out for 2026? The lessons learned, if you will. Like, what experiences and moments are most memorable, and how can we aim to experience something just like that again? What about that specifically brought you joy? You can name a bigger goal you'd like to get to and focus on what smaller actions can help get you there. Like, there are so many great videos on this, or you can even do yourself one better and like ask your friends and community how they like setting themselves up mentally for success success in the new year. And again, I beg for the third time, please leave some of your favorite ways that you like to bring in the new year in the comments, because not only am I interested, I also think that other people will find value in it as well. Now let's switch gears and talk about how like New Year's is literally fake and you can start and change your life at any time. Like I say this all the time, but like the day gotta end and so does the year. Time is literally just a concept and you can really start change or start to change whenever you like. These whole time scare tactics seem to be an important part of the New Year's hurrah and hoopla, but like it really does not matter if you start on the first, if your dedication, devotion, and commitment to that habit stays the same. Like side note, but some people love to use the word discipline, but like I don't really know how I feel about it because the way that y'all use discipline sometimes kind of sounds like a punishment. And like, why would I see growth in a habit that I see as punishment? There's like some girl on TikTok that has altered people's brain chemistry when she said to start changing discipline to devotion.
If discipline isn't working for you, then you should probably try out devotion, because maybe your nervous system and your body even associates the term discipline with some type of punishment or something bad happening to you, especially if you had a lot of trauma whenever you were a child and your parents or caregivers made you feel like an idiot or stupid or bad or a brat whenever you made a mistake, or they did in fact punish you. And you might even actually find yourself going after goals or having these ambitions or whatever in your life that you can't stay consistent to, because maybe you're going after goals and things that aren't even authentic to you. You're only doing them because you also feel like you're going to get punished, abused, abandoned if you don't do these things that other people are telling you to do, because that's what's been happening your whole life. Anyway, once you understand the goals that you actually want to go after or the things that you want to be more consistent or disciplined in, and get curious about all the ways that you have failed at going after that goal in a way that is not shameful but informative.
Like ultimately you want to add, change, or leave a habit behind as an act of devotion to yourself. And I understand some people like markers of time when it comes to beginning or ending something. Like starting something at the top of the hour or a half hour as opposed to like at, I don't know, like 10:27. But I really wouldn't stress or keep the looming feeling that you gotta abide by the calendar to enact your goals, or that you should give up in general if you didn't keep it up in January, aka hibernation season. Like don't mind me for getting a little spiritual or a little woo-woo on it, but like over here we are big believers in following nature's patterns. And something that I saw that's more common in indigenous practices and spiritual beliefs is that the new year is during the spring equinox, which actually makes a lot more sense. A calendar year that starts the same for everyone is a marker of colonialism. Sorry. Like love this take from this creator about how time is meant to be local and not globalized, but it was globalized for the sake of capitalism.
The concept of a global New Year's is the ultimate form of colonialism. There has never been another time in human history where we have collectively shared a calendar. And that is because historically speaking, calendars have always been determined bioregionally based off of ecological and celestial framing, right?
But I digress. Don't let these time restrictions make you think that you're lazy. Like even if you didn't start on your goals or intentions yet, like people need rest too, my friends. The holidays are wild. It is a misconception that the holidays are relaxing and restful, because when you're around family and doing the most or doing the least and recovering from the year or working through the holidays, that can be anything but. We can all be called to action and grow when things are literally growing in the spring. And while humans aren't hibernators by trade, it does not mean that we don't need rest in a period of nothingness. Like it's completely normal to not feel fully invigorated at the beginning of the year. And if you do, good for you. Like I really think in some aspect by beginning our year in the winter, we are setting ourselves up for failure. And when you fail or don't succeed, capitalism is winning. And I'm gonna leave that at that. Like just to wrap up, I wanna reiterate that I am not a cop. I am not the police. Quite literally do whatever feels true and good to you. But I do think we should pay just a little bit more closer attention to our trends and what they are bringing out of us. If you want to focus on the evolution of the self, that can happen at any time of the year with the right mindset. But do not forget all of the phases of you that got you here in the first place. Like, please remember, y'all, rebranding is for companies. Feeling bad about yourself for not rebranding or being behind in the new year is a byproduct and only serves capitalism, and time itself is a concept. All right? You got that? Peace.
It's grad season. Hey guys, what's up? It's imuRgency and welcome back to my channel. Today, as you can tell from the title, we are here to talk about Grownish Season 4, which is the graduation season of this show. If you've been here for a while, you may know that over a year ago, I made an initial Grownish review reaction video, which you should definitely check out if you haven't already. But now I feel like the show has changed so much, and it's its graduation era, and as you can probably tell, it's also my graduation era, so I'm like, might as well take another look at the show because things are very interesting. So in this video, we're talking Grownish Season 4, the good, the bad, the ugly, and the I tried to think of something clever there, but nothing was coming up. But before we get into anything, if you are new to the channel, then definitely hit that subscribe button and also leave a like on this video because that helps out so much with the algorithm. And actually, you know what? I'll give you some time to do it while I practice moving my tassel from left to right, or right to left. I don't know. Do it anyway. I'm graduating, so that's your grad gift to me. Are you done? Cool, because so am I. Also, really quick, make sure to follow me on Instagram and TikTok because I will be posting graduation content there. So you should go check that out. But Grownish season 4. This season was a ride. This season was definitely a ride. I mentioned in my last Grownish video that I really enjoyed how realistic Grownish felt in some aspects, while also really getting annoyed and frustrated with the aspects that just really did not make sense. Like, how is this possible? Like, for one, the everyday fashion of the people on campus at PWI. Yeah, I don't know. But I feel like a lot of these criticisms definitely transferred over to this season and in some aspects kind of got worse. So as we know, if you've seen Grownish before, you know this is a messy show. Like, this is meant to be like a family friendly-ish, like curse words are censored type beat, but people are still getting it in, still getting real messy. And honestly, in their senior year, I'd hope that there'd be some growth and like people wouldn't be as messy, but that unfortunately is just not the case. Like, we started the season in Mexico because the group is having their last vacation together. And honestly, this really sets the tone for the rest of the season because for one, this season, in my opinion, is truly all over the place. And two, it got very dramatic and messy. Like, honestly, at this point, I'm wondering how these people are all collectively still friends because just in the vacation scene alone, they just are dragging each other and fighting with each other. And the things that they are saying are very deep cuts. Like, Anna and Nomi really get into it and they exchange some very harsh words. I think at one point, Anna says that Nomi is like a bad single mom or whatever. And Nomi comes back and exposes like some secrets about her relationship with Javi, and I'm just like, how are y'all friends? And then from that, everyone is just airing out their grievances with each other, and it's just rude. It's literally just rude, and I don't think anyone ever like says that they didn't mean what they said. They just said that they're sorry that they said it. Like, how are y'all still friends after 4 years? How is a whole friend group still friends with each other, even though every other episode y'all seem to hate each other? And let me not even get into the interloping in the friend group, because I feel like everyone in this friend group is just taking turns getting with each other. Because I'm like, let me get this straight. How does Zoe get with both Aaron and Luca? Doug get with Jazz? Vivek get with Anna? Like, are there such things as like a platonic friend group? Like, why are y'all constantly getting with each other? Like, that just doesn't sit right with me, but that's a whole nother conversation. Over the course of the season, we see the cast gear up for graduation because graduation is imminent and they have a bunch of different events that transpire in between the start of senior year and the end of it. And this part sort of falls into the whole realism aspect of the show. This season, and just the show as a whole, tries to cover a lot. Like, it tries to cover a lot. Like, it's one of those shows that tries to mirror real life a little bit too accurately. Well, actually, I don't know if accurately is the right word, but like, they tried to fit a lot of real world stuff into 18 episodes for the sake of like relatability and stuff, but I don't feel like it translated well. Like, Grownish is one of the only shows that actually mentions and includes a mini storyline about COVID. Like, they mention how they went on like a COVID break, but for them it was like shortened because somehow they left the beginning of their senior year and still came back on their senior year. I don't really understand how that whole thing works, but I'm not sure if I really enjoyed having that in there. Like, I get the point of relatability and like realism, being like, oh wow, they're just like us, like they're living in the same world. But I feel like what television has been doing with like not mentioning that as like a constant reminder of the biggest thing that's collectively happened to every single person on this planet has been like generally nice because it's a form of like escapism in a sense. And if this is trying to portray like a ideal world, because it is trying to portray like a realistic but like an idealized version of the realistic world, maybe they could have like skipped over that. But not only does this season try and tackle COVID and then completely forget about it afterwards, I mean realistic, but they also delve pretty deeply into police brutality. They bring up topics of like in the family, as well as breaking down and trying to deconstruct sexuality and queerness in the Black community, which, if that sounds like a lot, it is. It definitely felt like, oh, we're tackling this now? We're talking about, oh, right, oh, wow, yeah. okay, all right. And I'm not sure if I mentioned this in my last video, but a positive to like this sort of realism of taking on real issues and putting them in these shows is that it does provide that perspective for people who might not be getting that otherwise. And one thing that I do appreciate is that for some of these issues that they bring up, it's like not just like a one episode thing and they're done. Like you see like the impacts a little bit later. Like with the whole police brutality era, like you see everyone sort of transform from that. Like Zoe, who was initially more ignorant to like the systemic issues that affect Black people in this country, becomes more aware of that, and you see her take that knowledge throughout the rest of the season. You especially see Doug become more active and become more of a participating character in like the story, which is nice because it shows that it wasn't just in there to just like be in there and be like, oh my god, we mentioned this topic, like, you know? And I feel like going along that theme, like this season was the season where I feel like we saw the most growth out of everyone, or out of most characters, I would say. Like for example, the character that I feel like grew definitely the most this season was Vivek. Like he got caught for drugs, he got kicked out of the school, he got arrested, and then had to work on changing his whole life around. And then at the end of the season, his dad passes away. So like this year was really sad for Vivek, but is actually realistic to the story for a lot of people of like not having your life go according to what plans you initially had for yourself. And you see him constantly trying to work towards that, and you can see how he's going to become a different, better person moving forward after graduation. And then we also have Anna, I forget how you say it, I've been alternating. I'm gonna say Anna now. Anna comes to terms with the fact that her old worldview may not represent her anymore, and she may not necessarily support all the things she used to support, which is honestly good for her because she's starting to see more sides to life, and I love that for her. Also, side note, her ex-boyfriend Hobby, I'm so glad they broke up because that man got under my skin. Like that man, y'all, like he was really truly trying to lock up a 17-year-old and get him deported over a mistake. Like something's not right with that man. Something is not right with that man, and honestly it's better that they broke up. I'll say it. Next on the growthometer, ew, no. Wow. Next character that I noticed growth from, there we go, is Nomi. And Nomi this season really just learns to become more trusting and allow other people to surprise her, you know? Because this season, the father of her daughter comes back into her life after kind of icing her out for like the first year of her daughter Luna's life. And just learning to work and coordinate with that while also transitioning into this next phase of her life post-grad. I just really like to see that. Nomi did get on my nerves a bit this season just because they also did decide to break into white fragility, and let's just say, Nomi girlie, you were pretty fragile.
Part of a long-standing history of racist thinking.
Hold on, Zoe. Racist thinking? So you're calling me a racist? Are you kidding me?
Girl, no! And finally, the character that I feel like grew a whole bunch was Jazz. And Jazz pretty much just learned how to become more of an individual and also be more open-minded, because she starts talking to Dez, who is a queer man who doesn't fit into her mold and worldview of how a man should dress or act. Dez is definitely inspired by Lil Nas X in the fact that he tends to wear dresses and just really break outside the gender norms, which she has trouble understanding but eventually comes around to. Jazz also starts to realize that she may or may not be mentally ill, so that's a whole learning curve for her. She just really just learns to like better herself, and I really love that for the cast. But that can't be said for every single character, because there are some characters that I feel that have not changed substantially since they were introduced, or since last season. I'll give them that. And the three of those characters, in my opinion, are Zoe, Luca, and Aaron. Zoe bestie. Zoe this season really just isn't doing too much. Like what does she do? Like Zoe continuously gets herself into the same problems and same mistakes. And honestly, I forget her character's name, but the actor is Daniela Perkins and she's on the show this season. Love her. She calls Zoe out perfectly by saying that like she constantly drags people into her drama. It's the same drama every season, mind you. And then just pretends to like learn from it, but then continues to do the exact same thing over and over again. Like for example, the love triangle drama. We've seen this before. We've seen this multiple times before, where she goes back and forth between Aaron and Luca. And Luca is a different beast, which we'll get into. And just spends so much time going back and forth with those two, and ultimately has her whole final year shift from whatever she initially intended because of them. And I'm sick of them. They are a toxic trio. They are a toxic trio, I have to say. Like, how do you get married, divorced, broken up with, and then try and start another fling and have that flop all in one season? And Luca is a male menace, and I will not be accepting any other answers. Like, Luca is a male menace. The way that he took it upon himself to interfere in Zoe's life because he cared for her, like, he caused so much drama, and the entire second half wouldn't have transpired the way it did if it weren't for Luca and his behavior. And honestly, Luca has not changed since season 1, and maybe that's the point of his character, because I know they mentioned at the end of the last episode that he stuck to who he was, but he was really just like the same kind of guy from the very beginning, and I'm not sure how much I vibe with that. Like, you're supposed to grow and learn or whatever, but the only thing he really learned was that he didn't want what he thought he wanted. I mean, okay. And Aaron's so fine, I'm sorry. He's so fine. But he did decide in like the very last minute to better himself, but then goes back and does the exact same thing he was doing before. Like, how are you saying, Zoe, let's break up, I need to better myself? He does that a little bit, and then goes right back to Zoe, and then tries to bring Zoe with him on this giant trip to Africa. And then when she says no last minute, she's like, okay. And then a couple months later, we see him back in New York with Zoe. Like, what's going on? What is going on between these characters? I don't know. And the final thing I want to talk about is the final episode, the last episode, because I have such a big problem with this. I'm sorry. I am sorry. The last episode was anticlimactic, in my opinion. As someone who is also graduating, who grew up college-wise with this show, and as a show that is placed and focused on college and the college experience, I feel like the graduation episode was incredibly underwhelming. In my opinion, it felt kind of rushed, because how are you gonna spend the culmination of 4 seasons in a 20-minute episode? Actually, I don't know if it was a double feature or not, but it felt like 20 minutes. Not one person of the main cast walked across the stage. We just see them before celebrating their graduation, and then after, when half of them actually graduate. Zoe, we don't even get to see walk across the stage, and she's main character energy. And then afterwards, it's just like, okay, bye everybody, and then they leave. Like, they have a single sentimental moment where they're all like saying bye to each other, but that, I feel like that wasn't enough, you know? Like, I feel like it was just anticlimactic. Like, of course, I felt things when they're all saying goodbye, just because I'm in it right now, and I can see myself going through that in the very, 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 way too very distant future. Not distant future, recent future. I see myself doing that very soon. But maybe for someone who's not graduating, it just kind of seems like, oh, that's it? That's how we're done? And I think they're doing a 5th season, which is why they didn't make it like super, super, super sappy. But I wanted to see more. I just wanted some more. I wanted just a teensy bit more from Grownish. I'm sorry. Like, I feel like in a certain sense, it was some wasted potential. Like, we could have seen like a flash of like everyone walking across the stage, and like memories from like the past 4 years flash as they're walking across the stage. And then at the end, taking a group picture, you know, like that. I'm getting sad just thinking about it, y'all. Ooh, graduation is too soon. But yeah, I really just think that last episode could have been better. But overall, I have to say, the show hasn't been great. It has been really helpful and nice, like going through college and aging along with the show. Like class of 2022, we kind of got lucky there, because it literally followed us step by step every single year. And I just really appreciate it, because it made the college experience seem seen, and it's one of the few college shows that are out right now that show the college experience, and then also feature and headline people of color as like the forefront, which I really did enjoy. As I move forward and I graduate, I'm definitely gonna look back on Grownish as a show that like encapsulates that era of content. Again, I'm not 100% sure if they're doing a season 5. If they are doing a season 5 and it goes into the young adult life, honestly, good. Like, honestly, just follow me until I'm like grown, like until I'm like 30. Is that a lot? Yeah. But do I need a roadmap? Yeah, but that's pretty much it. That's my review on Grownish, y'all. I really hope you enjoyed. For all of the other students in the class of 2022 that are graduating from college or high school this year, congratulations, we did it. We really pushed through and got that degree, and I'm so proud of all of us. Special thanks to everyone that's been following me since I started doing college videos way back in 2017, 2018. It's a real full circle moment right now, being in like a cap and gown and doing like a show review, being like, yeah, it's over. But thank you so much for your continued support. It really does mean a lot to me. Again, if you're new to the channel, then hit that like button and turn on post notifications so you never miss when I post. Leave a like on this video, follow me on my socials here at imergency, and I will see you in the next video. Peace. Are you ready? Are you ready? No. Are you ready to get strange? Woo! Hey guys, what's up? It's imuRgency. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're here to talk about the long-awaited return of Stranger Things in Stranger Things 4 Volume 1. Stranger Things is one of those shows that really comes and makes its mark whenever it returns to Netflix. Like, you can tell just by the way that Netflix promotes the show, like with it literally being projected on the Empire State Building in New York, with all the different live streams to the cult fan base that we have here. Stranger Things is a big deal, and it is back, and it is time to talk about it. And boy, is there a lot to talk about, because this first half of the season was crazy. But before we get into anything, if you are new to the channel, then hit that subscribe button for more content like this. I do show reviews, pop culture commentary, trope analyses, the whole nine, anything pop culture and TV related. So make sure you do that. And also make sure to leave a like on this video because it helps out so much with the YouTube algorithm. So I will actually give you a second to do that while I show off my Stranger Things inspired outfit. Wow, it's giving 80s, no? Did you hit the like button yet? Did you like it? Cool. That was a lot because I'm wearing a sweater and it's 80 degrees. But let's talk about Stranger Things 4. First and foremost, I want to say that this season's storytelling, while similar to how Stranger Things normally tells its stories, with like a bunch of storylines all happening at the same time, something about the way they did it this time, mashing up Elle's whole storyline this season with Hopper and Joyce's storyline, with Will and Mike's storyline, with like the general Hawkins crew storyline. Like, Chef's Kiss, really enjoyed it, really made things seem like they were jumping around a lot so you wouldn't necessarily get bored. But we start off this season with seeing how the characters have grown accustomed to their new lives. Elle, Will, and Jonathan and Joyce are all in California now, living their best life because they had to get out after all of the events that happened in Stranger Things 3. And pretty much everyone else is in Hawkins, starting up school, first year of high school, might I add, and seeing all the misadventures that come with that. Oh, and Hopper is also kind of in Russia getting tortured. But we'll get into that. And the season actually starts off pretty slow. Like, Elle does not have her powers, like she lost her powers at the end of season 3. So it's really just kind of giving like slice of life, like your typical high school show, coming of age type beat, until the strange shit starts happening, you know? And the strange shit in question, I have a lot of opinions on, because on one hand, it's really nice to have a whole season, or at least a whole first half of the season, where the cast sort of has to deal with their own issues without the safety net of like Elle and her powers, because that's kind of refreshing, because it kind of seemed like before, like, oh, as long as Elle was there, people were good. But at the same time, I really just did not understand what was going on with the plot, like what was going on with like the strange shit until the very end of this half. And that kind of made me question a lot of stuff, because like for the first, I want to say 6 episodes, I was kind of like, oh wow, this stuff is kind of scary, but like how does this really play in? Like what's really the point of it all, you know? Like I was really struggling to try and find a connection between Vecna, who is this season's big bad, and the Mind Flayer, and like how those two sort of relate and are both in like the upside down. Like I was just really confused because as to like where we're going, just because like the stakes didn't really seem that high for the first 6 episodes in comparison to the previous 3 seasons. But like the catch of this season's villain, Vecna, is that he pretty much preys upon people who are traumatized. So only like the most traumatized high schoolers are really getting picked off by Vecna. And that kind of makes you think like, okay, like that's bad, but like, is that really like world ending, you know? Like it really did seem like for the first 6 episodes, like the stakes just were not really there. Like yes, it is maybe threatening that one of the main characters could be taken over and killed by Vecna because they've all been through like some trauma, but in terms of like the scale of like the whole world, like seasons 1, 2, and 3, like the whole town of Hawkins was at risk, you know? Where this kind of like, oh, this doesn't seem like the main bad guy. And of course we have 2 more episodes coming out in July that are both, I think, 2.5 hours long, which should clear that up. And episode 7 did definitely put things more into perspective with like giving away Vecna's identity and his motives. But for those first 6 episodes, I was like, what is going on? But throughout the season as a whole, I really enjoyed how the characters themselves have remained true to themselves while still allowing growth. Well, most characters, because Mike is still in the show. And like, no offense to all the Mike stands, but what did he do this season? Like in my opinion, in this first part of season 4, Mike did nothing but be a dick to pretty much everyone he's around, and then just scream and run away. Because let's be honest, after Elle left California, the rest of the cast that were in California, Mike, Will, and Jonathan, and Argyle, which like pleasantly enjoy Argyle being part of the cast now. What were they doing? Like what was their purpose after that? Because they were just like so far removed from the plot, and they were trying to find Elle when Elle was pretty much good. Like Elle is trying to get her powers back, and it seems like she's in good hands and that they're going to basically send her to Hawkins anyway after she gets her powers back. So I'm kind of just like, why are y'all trying to find her? And also, how are y'all going to actually be involved in the plot? Because at this point, they have no idea what's going on in Hawkins, and really all they're doing is fleeing for their lives. So in terms of that storyline, I hope in Volume 2, we get some more things come together more and they have more of a purpose, because I was just left pondering. Although I will say the one thing that was interesting in that group, I didn't want to believe it. Y'all were saying this up and down in my pre-show live for this season, but Byler, Will, and Mike, that prediction in that ship was looking a little bit more realistic this season, one-sidedly, for sure. But let's talk about Will for a second. Will Byers, this season, very interesting man. We see him making a painting for someone. We never really see who he's really giving the painting to. He offers to show Mike the painting, but then Mike's kind of like, I don't care, give me L. Like, people were saying last season that Will might not be straight because of this scene.
It's not fit with a stupid girl. L's not stupid. It's not my fault you don't like girls.
Oh. I don't know about you, but to me that silence was loud as hell.
And honestly, it was kind of giving more this season, because on the first day of school, arguably one of the prettiest people on this show that was cast as like a background character flirts with Will, and Will is kind of just like, please don't touch me. And throughout the season, he's kind of just like oogling Mike. So I'm really not sure what to think here. I'm really not sure. It's definitely not giving the Will is straight, I can tell you that much. But in terms of whether that means that he's gay or bi or possibly even asexual, we don't know. Waiting for the show to confirm that, but something is definitely afoot over there. I feel like I'm jumping all over the place here just because there's so much to talk about, but like 11 this season, 11. At the beginning of the season, I felt so bad for Elle, because that one girl, that one girl, what was her name? Angela? The one blonde girl that had the nerve to pick on Elle for no reason. The one that Elle wonked over the head with a pair of roller skates. That one, Angela, she's not seen the pearly gates. I hate to say it. She's not. Because why was she so aggressive? Why was she picking on Elle for literally nothing? Excuse me. I'm confused. Why are you talking about your dad when we're talking about heroes? Is your dad famous? Like, girl, shut up, please. Like, you have all this energy for what? For what? But overall, I feel like this whole first part of Stranger Things 4 is just giving Elle's backstory and catching us up to why she is the way she is, and honestly just giving her the development that she deserves. Like, the season opens up with Dr. Brenner's perspective on what happens with Elle, where we kind of get a scene where like, oh, maybe Elle's a little crazy. But over the course of Volume 1, we get to really learn more and more behind that story and get to learn that Elle actually went through a lot. She was actually bullied. And the person that actually drove her to really get the full capacity of her powers and ultimately open up a rift to the upside down for the first time was one of the workers who turned out to be number one. Number one is in like the first experimented child. And we see how much that's damaged her to the point where she actually blocked out all those memories and thinks of herself as a monster because of her actions and because of all of that. So I'm just like, wow, 11. Millie Bobby Brown this season, spot on, literally spot on. Now I want to jump back into talking about the Hawkins group, because there was just a lot going on there and a lot of thoughts. For one, I want to say that their storyline, I have to say, is either the most or second most interesting storyline out of all of the ones that were happening in Volume 1. If not then it was definitely Elle's. But like I said before, their storyline included like the rise of the new big bad, they were dodging cops, their parents, and pretty much just general hysteria in the town. They introduced a new character, Eddie, who ends up being the town's scapegoat for the murders that are happening due to Vecna. And I want to talk about that for a second, because the way that the town reacted to Eddie really just did a number on me. It did a number on me, because why does the captain of the basketball team, a high school basketball team, suddenly become the preacher of the town and incite this mass hysteria, saying that like the Dungeons and Dragons club at their high school is like a cult and is killing random people, and people just believe that? Like, I'm like, how do we get here, for one? And two, where are they? Because it seems like throughout the whole season, that basketball group that Lucas was a part of is like hunting down Eddie, but they actually never do that. They never actually find anyone. And I'm just wondering, like, is this going to happen in Volume 2? Like, are they actually going to do something, or are they just going to be talking for this whole time? It just really seems that they're talking a whole lot, creating a bunch of drama, but not really following through with anything. So I'm like, what are y'all really doing? Like, what is your purpose? And another thing that really just got me thinking was the whole thing with Max. because Max really gets a lot of development this season because she is dealing with the loss of Billy from last season, and she ends up being a victim of Vecna, but like not really. And it really just brings me back to this thing I have with Stranger Things where it feels like there are no stakes, really. Because while yes, there are characters that do end up dying, none of them are in the main cast, and none of them really have any impact to the main story. Like the biggest one I can really think of that has a lasting impact is Billy this season for Max, but other than that, like it just seems like they go through things without much consequence, like they're all good at the end of the day. This might not be this kind of show, but I kind of want to see them have to actually suffer something, you know? Like the whole plotline with Max, where Max is literally seconds away from being taken by Vecna. She gets saved. We think that things are gonna go bad with Elle. Elle gets saved. Hopper literally has to fight a Demogorgon in Russian prison. He gets saved. Joyce and Murray literally crash a plane. They crash a plane into the Arctic tundra of Russia and walk away with no injuries. They are fine. I'm just kind of like, what is going on? Like, where are the stakes? Like, why? Is anyone in any real sense of danger? Like Steve, for example. Steve gets ripped to shreds basically by these demobats or whatever, and he's just walking in fine. He's like struggling a little bit for a second and then he's just fine. There are no stakes in this show, and I really do love this show, don't get me wrong, but I'm kind of like, we have some implication, something. Like I thought Elle losing her powers was like something of a consequence, but she's getting those back. Can something stay permanent? Can someone just lose something so they can grow, you know? And that leads me into my predictions for Volume 2. That comes out in a little bit over a month. First and foremost, I want some consequences. There's a confirmed season 5 after Volume 2. So we know that there's actually time for people to process their loss. So for Volume 2, I want some consequences. I want some stakes. I want the group to go through something where they actually have to experience them messing up and losing something for good. And then them spending season 5 actually healing from that, dealing with that, and then growing up to be stronger people. That's first off. And my other prediction that kind of ties along with that, I think that Murray will sacrifice himself. I think Murray will be that person, and he's gonna end up sacrificing himself so that Joyce and Hopper can get back to Hawkins. Just because I can see that playing out. Even though I really love Murray and I love their trio's dynamic, especially this season with them trying to save Hopper, for some reason I just see that going down for him. I also think in Volume 2 that Elle is going to get a new power. I don't know what it is, but the way that they're gassing it up in Part 1, saying like how Elle is going to get her powers back and she's gonna be stronger than ever, I think that she's getting a new power, or at least some more control over her powers, so maybe she can open up rifts to the Upside Down at will, because now she just does it on accident. And I also think that we're going to get some major development for Nancy, because at the end of this season we find out that Nancy got by Vecna and she's now under Vecna's control. Like I feel like she's either gonna be sacrificed, or I could see her becoming like a battle Nancy. Like like she said herself, like she's strapped up. Like I'm trying to see that be put in action, but I don't know. This next one might be more of a hope than a prediction, but I really do hope that we get to see more context and more weight behind Vecna, or One, and seeing how he directly relates to the Mind Flayer, because they briefly described him as possibly like a general to the Mind Flayer, but as of right now he kind of just seems like a spin-off villain. Like he's bad, but he's not necessarily a big bad, if that makes sense. So if there isn't more to him than introduce like the bigger big bad than Vecna in Part 2. I keep saying this, but I think I really just want to see some stakes. I want to see some higher stakes. And I guess finally my last hope and prediction is that Robin finally gets a girlfriend or is talking to someone, because they alluded to that in the beginning, that she had eyes for this one girl in her band group, but then that kind of just like went away when all the drama starts. Like I want to see Robin happy. I want to see Robin happy. And I guess I also want to see Nancy and Steve back together, because Jonathan is kind of flopping right now. I do predict that there's gonna be some mess in that when they all come together. I feel like there's gonna be a fight. Who knows? That's neither here nor there. Stranger Things 4 Volume 1 was definitely worth the watch. I did really enjoy it, and I am super duper excited for Volume 2 coming out July 1st. As per usual, I will be back come July to break down and talk about Volume 2. And there will probably be another pre-show live stream the night before there, so keep an eye out for that. But thank you so much for watching. Again, if you're new to the channel, then hit that subscribe button and leave a like on this video, because it helps out a lot. Make sure to follow me on my socials here at imergency, Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, the whole 9. But other than that, y'all, I've been Emergency, and I will see you in the next video. Peace. Well, look what we have here. Hey guys, what's up? It's Emergency and welcome back to my channel. Have you ever wondered what Avengers would be like if the Avengers actually had to deal with the consequences of their actions and the impact that the Avengers had on society was actually seen? Well, that's The Boys. And no, not those boys. The Boys. If you're unfamiliar with The Boys, it is a show on Amazon Video, and it really just is a show like no other. The best way I can describe it is like if the Avengers met Deadpool met Happy Tree Friends. Yeah, honestly, with all of the antics and violence and things in this show, I'm really surprised that they allowed this to air on television, or more so streaming services, because it's a lot. And we're gonna talk about it, we're gonna break it down all here right now, as well as getting into the latest season, season 3, and giving some predictions on how I think the rest of the season is going to go. There's a lot to get into here, so sit back, grab a snack, and let's get into it. Really quick though, if you are new to the channel and like show reviews, pop culture commentary, fashion reviews, or really anything in the TV or pop culture space, then make sure to hit that subscribe button and to turn on my post notifications so that you never miss when I post. Also, it would be a huge help if you left a like on this video because it helps on the algorithm a whole bunch, and I will give you some time to do that right now while I menacingly look at you with these glasses. Yeah. You left a like? All right, cool. Let's get into it. Oh yeah, also quick plug. Make sure to follow me on Instagram at imergency here. Because I'm trying to build the following there. Yeah, just follow me on Instagram and TikTok while you're at it. But let's get into The Boys. So based on the poll in my community tab section, it's safe to say that a lot of people don't necessarily know what The Boys is or have really watched the show. So I will do y'all a favor and break this video up into 2 parts. This first part is going to be the spoiler-free sort of TLDR about the show. And then the second half is going to be really talking about season 3 and giving predictions for the rest of the season. So for those of you that have seen The Boys and really want to get right into season 3 commentary, you can skip to the timestamp right here where we talk about that. But for everyone else that wants to stick around and get a little refresher, let's get into it. So The Boys mainly takes place in New York City, and it is a show that takes place in the world where there are superheroes, and it's really not like how we normally see superheroes depicted in shows. This is more akin to how we see things through like the lens of like a movie like Deadpool, where it's like really crude, very mature, kind of gory and violent at times, well, a lot of times, but it's also caught up into like the 21st century. So superheroes in this universe are essentially celebrities, like your typical influencer, like celeb. They have to worry a lot about engagement and like numbers in terms of like how well they're performing as like a superhero and a public figure, and a lot of their treatment and the perks that they get are dependent on those numbers. So we see the 7 most popular superheroes being called the 7. They consist of some very questionable, antagonistic, not so great people. And that's the beauty of the show. It does not sugarcoat superheroes whatsoever. In fact, it paints them as very terrible, very awful people, in the sense that most of them are very corrupt and very drunk on their power, think that they're untouchable, and treat people accordingly. And by treat people accordingly, I mean like senselessly take them out whenever they see fit or whenever they like misuse their powers. So one scene that comes to mind was with this one superhero, or how they call them, soups. Wait! That makes so much sense. Sorry, I just had a revelation. They call superheroes soups because they're super but not heroes. Like, whoa. I'm not sure if that was intentional or if that was like supposed to be like a hidden meaning, but like that makes sense because none of these people are heroes. But this one soup, A-Train, in either season 1 or season 2, his power is that he's super fast. And we see the downside to this power because he's running to like catch something or someone, and he ends up running through someone. And one thing about this show is that they do not sugarcoat, they do not censor anything. So people just be exploding. Is that okay to say on here? People will be going kablooey on this show. And they showed what would happen if someone who's running like a couple 100 miles per hour were to run through someone and this person goes kablooey. And that didn't look good for A-Train. It didn't look good for A-Train, but he covered it up. That's the thing. They usually cover up the faux pas, if you will, of these superheroes pretty well to keep their numbers from taking too much. But it's just like that sort of vibe where you get to see like the drawbacks of having powers and the real life day-to-day interactions of like someone who has super speed, super strength, can fly really fast, can shrink down really small and grow really large. There's just so many layers of upness in this show, and I really love it because of that, because I don't think I've seen anything really like this since Deadpool. And even Deadpool kind of doesn't have anything on this, because like, wow, imagine if all the characters We're Deadpool. I know what you may be asking, Rumi, where do the boys fit into this? Well, the boys are regular civilians that all have their own personal vendetta against these soups and actively work to take down these soups whenever they can and to take down Vought, which is basically the superhero organization agency that sort of controls everything to do with superheroes and media. Like, think like the evil corporation that keeps things together type beat. Ironically, think like Amazon level of like corporation, like really global powerhouse. In The Boys consists of these 4 characters. Butcher, who is this British lad who is really messed up on many different ways. Frenchie, who has the name and tails, is like this French criminal who's like actually really super smart but is also kind of unhinged. And who's like your typical like bra and muscle of the group. He also happens to be the one black one of the group. It's giving very much typical ragtag team action movie type beat. And then finally, one of the newest members of The Boys and one of the main characters of this show, Huey, who's like your typical average run-of-the-mill white guy who ends up getting wrapped up into this whole organization to take down the soups. And for some reason, I don't know what it is, Huey's a great character, but he just gives me the ick. I don't know how to describe it, but just like, he gives me an ick. It might be the way that he approaches situations, but you know, overall, just ugh. But like I said, they're actually fighting against Vought in the Seven, and the leader of the Seven, who is an entire different beast in and of himself. And this beast is Homelander. Homelander is basically Superman if Superman was super narcissistic, evil, sadistic, and grown out of a test tube. I'm not kidding about the test tube part. He was actually grown out of a test tube. And Homelander is basically invincible. Like, nothing can really stop him. He's like the most well-rounded superhero. Like, he can fly, he has super strength, he has like laser vision. Like, he's really just Superman. And he really just tries to uphold Vought being like the leader and just being this really intimidating, scary force who often like gets drunk on his own power and ends up using them and abusing people. It's very sad, actually. But the show is really interesting because even though you have like basically invincible, very scary characters like Homelander in comparison to the regular no powers, The Boys, it still creates an interesting dynamic where it doesn't feel like the soups are overpowered in the sense where it seems like there's no real purpose for there to be a conflict. Like, there's still some give and take and some blows that could be dealt on either side just because of different leverage. It's just like a really good show. I do strongly recommend you watch it if you haven't already. And if you don't want to watch it for the plot, watch it for all the shock value because it's a very shocking show. Like, the first half an hour of season 3, shocking isn't even the word. But that transitions us quite nicely into the spoiler part of this video, where we're going to talk about season 3, break it down how we normally do, and give some predictions for how we think the season is going. So season 3 looks like it's going to be very interesting. So far, as of recording this, all we have are the first 3 episodes that came out all at once this past Friday, and then we're going to be having weekly episodes going up to, I believe, July 8th. And I don't even want to try and do the mental math, but I think that's like 5 or 6 more episodes. And kind of going along with that, would y'all want me to make weekly videos doing like summary breakdowns? Like, if y'all are here for Euphoria and how I did like weekly videos of that, would y'all be interested in me doing that for The Boys? Or should I just leave it to like a weekly like pre-show live stream, or just wait till the end to do like a giant season wrap up? I don't know. Let me know down in the comments below. But these first 3 episodes, I feel like were basically to mend all of the faults, or at least the preliminary faults in fallout from season 2, with The Boys sort of disbanding in a sense. Because by the end of episode 3 in this season, The Boys are basically back together and doing their thing, which is nice because I would be annoyed if they spent the whole season trying to rekindle their group together, because I'm like, there's no real need for that. But we also get some very shocking news. For one, the group gets confirmation that Victoria Newman, aka Nadia, is actually a soup and is the head popper from season 2, and also is working with Vought, was like raised by Stan, which is super just convenient for so many reasons. And honestly, I feel like this is going to be interesting because I feel like Victoria / Nadia, I think I'm gonna call her Nadia because I like the name Nadia better. I think this is interesting because I feel like Nadia has the makings to be a really great villain, and I wonder how her power would match up against Homelander if they actually needed to go against each other, because would Homelander be able to defend his head from being popped? I don't know. I really don't know, and I kind of hope we see that this season. I know that Nadia probably isn't going to go to the side of The Boys, but like, if Homelander just goes AWOL and Stan 6 Nadia against Homelander, like, I kind of want to see what that would look like. But speaking of Homelander, child, This man is crazy. Somebody come get their white man. Because he just gets more and more unhinged by the second. Like, after he officially loses Stormfront and she actually takes herself out because she can't even handle being around him anymore, he like completely loses it. I feel like Homelander kind of represents the worst case scenario that we see with like American men. If you hype them up a little bit too much and kind of play into the whole rage factor of it all, because he actually lashes out and then gets praised for it by fellow unhinged men, because he just gets worse and worse and worse. Like that scene with the girl on the roof. I have no words. I have no words. Again, how is this show allowed to be on streaming services? I'm not asking for it to be canceled at all. It's really good. But how is this allowed? It's just the way that he does the most heinous things with a blank stare and a smile on his face. Like, it's terrifying. Like, the casting for Homelander, whoever the actor is, perfect for this role, because he just has that look where he could kind of be a little off. It's the blank stare and smile combo for me. And we see in episode 3 that Homelander has this realization where he's like fighting with Starlight, and Starlight's like trying to use leverage of that one video where Homelander basically allows this whole plane full of people to crash as leverage. He actually finally acknowledges that like he doesn't care anymore, because if he wanted to, he could literally take over the entire world. And this was something I was thinking about before, like why did it take until this point for him to just like not care? Like, worst case scenario, he gets kicked out of Vought in the 7 and then he could just take over the world. Like, there's nothing that the world can really do to stop Homelander, if you think about it. At least that I'm remembering. Like, if I'm forgetting like something that Stan has up his sleeve that can take down Homelander, let me know. But he detailed very clearly and quickly how he could really just take over the world, and I'm like, he could have done that at any point. Any point. Like, if he really wanted to find his son that badly, he could just use the world as leverage to find him, you know? And I really think that because of this, we're going to see some new historic lows for Homelander. Like, we thought we saw him do some up shit before. I feel like this season we're getting even lower. Like, the bar is already in hell, but I think it's going deeper. And honestly, this is scary because of the developments that happen at the end of episode 3, where he's basically keeping Starlight hostage in the frame of this fake PR relationship, because Starlight can't really do anything about that, because she's supposed to hold up this front while the boys investigate how they can actually take down Homelander. And 2, realistically, there's nothing that she could do because Homelander could easily like overpower her. So I'm really concerned for Starlight's character here. Although I will say episode 3 did some amazing storytelling, like developing Starlight in the beginning of that episode, showing how like she really hated doing things for other people with like the pageant, and then ending it now with her being an adult, having the same like reaction of her like clenching that fist when she's having to put on a show with Homelander. Just amazing storytelling. Another thing that happened in these first couple episodes that I'm kind of interested in is Butcher's just whole development in these past 3 episodes. Like, he's been going through a lot. Like, for one, he's trying to be a father, or at least a father figure, which is nice to see him change that way, but then we also see him like do a complete 180 when times get tough, and him essentially like cursing out and disowning his own stepson, which, I mean, I guess I get why you do that, to sort of distance yourself so he doesn't have to be involved, but why do it like that, you know? Like, if anything, that kid is the one thing that could reliably stand up to Homelander if done right. But now you just kind of made a villain out of him, where he kind of just like does not like you and does not respect you at all. In fact, I think, to quote him, he said that he hates you. So not the smartest move on his part. But then also, what's going on with him and his powers? Because he took that compound V and got superpowers for 24 hours, which was cool to see. Like, that scene where he was fighting that superhero, amazing. But also, I feel like it's been longer than 24 hours and he still has those powers going on, so like, what really is happening, you know? Like, what's going on here? Like, if I were to make a prediction for the rest of the season, I kind of guess that either he becomes really reliant on these powers, or he unintentionally gives himself like some form of like hybrid version of these powers, where like the compound V gives him like permanent powers, but like those kind of permanent powers only come out when like he's really in distress type V. Because I feel like that would be really interesting for his character, having that inner turmoil of like becoming a soup himself, or more so becoming the thing that he hates the most, that being soups. So I kind of hope that that happens. Also, I just really want to see one of them become soups, because them being civilians and having to rely on Starlight is only interesting for so long, you know? But yeah, and also it seems like they're about to go to Russia, which is interesting, to find the weapon that could take down Homelander. And I'm seeing this theme, I'm really seeing this theme recently in a lot of these shows. I'm not sure if it's intentional or if it's just coincidental, but it seems like a lot of shows now are going to Russia. And given what's going on with the world, I just think it's very very interesting that a lot of shows are going down this route, because Stranger Things literally just did it. The Boys are now doing it. And I don't know, I just think that's interesting. And now I want to get into some more quick predictions. For one, I feel like, I forget his name, but the one Backstreet Boy superhero, I feel like he's going to be the one saving grace for Starlight, because now that he's in the 7, he's really the only person that really cares about Starlight's well-being enough to actually like help her out this situation, or at least help communication between the boys and Starlight. So I'm predicting that he's going to end up being that role as like the communicator between the two. But I do also think that Homelander's going to take him out this season. He just seems like a one and done kind of character, if I'm being honest. Like, I don't see him lasting for longer than a single season, which is really sad. I also predict, actually, I don't know if this is more of a hope or a prediction, but I hope we see more of Homelander's kid. Like, I hope we get to see more of his powers, because I think he's just being kept on the back burner right now because they are either building up to something with him or don't really know what to do with him yet. I want to see more of that kid, because I want to see how many of his powers he actually does keep from his dad and how they stack up against Homelander himself. I just want to see this fight. I want to see this fight. I'll say it. I want it to give Invincible. I really want it to give Invincible the show. And my final prediction thus far is I feel like Nadia is going to end up playing more of like a third party role. Like, I really think that she's not going to either take the side of the boys or Vought. I think she's going to have some kind of role that sort of keeps both of them in check, and she's going to end up doing something that benefits herself. Because I know she's loyal to Stan right now, but knowing Stan, he's probably going to do something to f her over, and that's just going to cause her to like do her own thing. Hopefully she takes out Stan, because I'm really tired of him. Like, he's such a good villain, like a good like evil boss man, but I want him gone. I'm sorry. But yeah, this season is bound to be very problematic, because this show is just so problematic in all of the best ways, if that makes sense. Like, it seems like the show isn't problematic for no reason. It seems like it's purposefully problematic to show how terrible all of these people are. Like, still sometimes it goes a little too far. Like that scene with the Ant-Man equivalent, you know what I'm talking about, where he hops into the, and then like, during Pride Month? Really? During Pride, you're gonna be hopping in someone's and going like, come on now. Come on. But yeah, those are all my thoughts for right now on The Boys. I'm super excited for the rest of the season, and we'll definitely be giving out updates throughout this season, whether that be here on YouTube or over on TikTok, where I do more show reaction type beats. But yeah, now I want to hear from you. What do you think about The Boys? Are you excited for this season? If you haven't seen it before, are you planning on watching it now? Let me know down in the comments below. But other than that, y'all, thank you so much for watching. Again, if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, leave a like, follow me on Instagram, all that. And yeah, I guess I'll see you in the next video. Peace.